the character of Africa's economy is one that in general terms can be characterized as fragmented, smallness of national economies. Most of our economies are too small to be globally competitive individually. We have a lack of efficiencies, or rather lack of economies of scale, and many of us continue to export primary commodities to countries of the north, and we don't trade nearly enough.
The path to finally achieve a comprehensive intercontinental free trade area agreement for the continent of Africa has been in the works for several years. It all started when the African Union launched the Boosting Intra-African Trade initiative back in 2012, and the objective was to enhance trade and economic integration within the African continent.
We don't trade nearly enough with one another in value-added production. There is some, but it's not to the point where we actually would boost intra-Africa trade and enhance Africa's industrial development capacity.
On March 21st, 2018, an agreement that symbolized a major development towards achieving the Continental Free Trade Area was signed.
Well, Africa punches below its weight when it comes to international trade. For instance, we are the third largest trading partner as a continent with Europe, just behind the US and China. We have more trade with Europe than, say, Japan, more trade than Australia, more trade than Canada, countries with which the European Union has very sharp, detailed, sophisticated agreements. It doesn't have with Africa because we are completely divided and fragmented. And it is more or less the same story with many other partners. So we punch below our weight. So it is in our interest to be part of the discussion at that level, even to be member of the G20, because we are one of the 10 largest economies, like the EU is a member. And this is not going to happen without the CFTA.
The aim of the agreement was and is to establish a single market for goods and services across Africa, promoting integration and boosting of intra-African trade.
And so I congratulate the government of Kenya for organizing smallholder farmers to be able to benefit from the AfCFTA. Similarly, we saw off products that were exported from Egypt to Ghana, from Cameroon, Tunisia, and other countries. The AfCFTA has corrected a long-standing anomaly, and that is that when West Africa trades with East Africa, or North Africa trades with Southern Africa, before the entry into force of the AfCFTA, we were trading on the basis of the so-called MFN rules. In other words, there was no preferential treatment of Africans trading amongst ourselves.
Following the signing of this agreement, the ratification process began, with the agreement needing about 22 African countries to be ratified. This hallmark was achieved on April 29, 2019, and since then, the African Continental Free Trade Area has been gaining momentum with ongoing negotiations and implementation efforts.
But then there is also the issue of internal trade. Most of the trade that is taking place in Africa right now is full of value addition. So it's manufacturing, services, and it is not commodity driven because we are exporting our commodities mostly to the outside of Africa. So those are problems that really create unemployment because we know extractive industries only generate about 1% of total employment in the continent, and we know value addition is where the jobs are. So we need really to boost intra-Africa trade, and it is proven that with the tariff schedules that are being negotiated, it can increase by as much as 52%.
The path towards finally achieving the free trade area for African countries is still ongoing. The full implementation or establishment of African Continental Free Trade Area will take time. The agreement requires further negotiation on specific trade protocols and the harmonization of policies and regulations among participating countries. In the meantime, As the continent pursues complete implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, we have to answer the following question. Why is this agreement important to Africa?
I think that what we have been missing is a tool which enables us to consolidate the market that we have. And that's exactly what the African Continental Free Trade Area presents. It presents us with a tool, a legal framework for a consolidated market, something that we've been lacking for the last almost 60 years now. African Continental Free Trade Area is a first step towards making Africa globally competitive. Without an industrial development capacity, a country or a region will never be able to be competitive. You will not be able to create jobs, you will not be able to attract investment. You will continue to be stuck in this mode of forever being on the periphery of the global economy. And I, as an African, I find that unacceptable that we continue to be at the periphery of the global economy. And so I think we have to do something about it ourselves.
The African Continental Free Trade Area creates a single market of over 1.3 billion people and a combined GDP of over $3.4 trillion. By eliminating or reducing tariffs and non-tariff barriers, the agreement aims to boost trade among African countries. This increases market access and can lead to greater export opportunities for businesses and driving economic growth. Increased intra-African trade has historically been relatively low compared to other regions. The African Continental Free Trade Area seeks to promote and facilitate trade among African nations by removing trade barriers, streamlining custom procedures, and harmonizing trade rules. By encouraging countries to trade more with each other, the agreement can foster economic integration and strengthen regional cooperation. Diversification of economies can help African countries by promoting trade in various sectors. It provides an opportunity for countries to specialize in industries where they have a comparative advantage, such as agriculture.